How are you guys doing? I can just feel that I'm in a room with women who are empowered, women who are intentional, women who are going to do amazing things. And I just want the session to be very interactive, right? So I'm telling you now, just maybe think about some of the questions that you'd want to ask these beautiful ladies. I will introduce them now. When it comes to wellness, I am in awe, and I don't think I'm the only one. I'm in awe with what Sis Nomdeni is doing, right? Like, look at the space. It's absolutely phenomenal. And I can't wait to learn with you ladies. I can't wait to engage. My name is Kabelo Mohale, and I'll be facilitating today's Wellness Masterclass. Let's give these ladies a round of applause. Okay, so I think in my own experience with wellness, I've discovered that wellness is a journey, a very layered one, sometimes quite complex, right? It's a journey. And so we're here to learn. I will introduce you guys now. I just want to make a disclaimer. We're all here to learn. We are going to engage with one another. I'm realizing that in the season that I'm in, I've taken a step back when it comes to my wellness journey, and so I'm here to learn. I want to engage. I'm going to take notes, and I want you guys to take notes as well, because wellness is important. Wellness as a black woman is very important, so I want us to engage, right? My first lady, who I will be announcing today, bear with me, this is my first time, but I'm super excited. The first lady that I'll be introducing today is Sipokazi Veti. She is a mindfulness, personal, and wellness coach. She believes in holding space for individuals and communities, helping them find new and inspiring ways to unlearn disempowering beliefs and patterns to help contribute to sustainable mental and personal wellness. Can we give her a round of applause? And the second lady that I'll be conversating with is Ntati Mesu. Ntati is an architect. She has a master's degree in architecture. She is the founder and creative director of Boss Plus One, a stationery company founded in 2018. Boss Plus One was founded and developed as a stationery line and community that would speak about the issues of women while building their career and family. Welcome.
Thank you.
So, like I said, this season has been quite interesting for me. Giagoa, guys. If I have to be very honest, in some areas in my life, I am seeing flames, right? And so one of the practices that I've adapted to in the season is breathing. I've realized how important taking a moment to just breathe and practice stillness is for me. And so I want us to engage together. If you have coffee in your hand, if you've got your phone, just put it down for a moment and stand up. Let's all stand up. So we're going to breathe together. Like I said, I'm a bit nervous, and I know just having conversation with the ladies here, they are a bit of nerves, but we want to get the best from you. And so we want to calm down, relax, center ourselves. It's a busy day, but in this session, I want us to really be present. So we're going to close our eyes. I won't, right? But you will. Close your eyes. Just breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in again through your nose. And breathe out. When you breathe in again now, I want you to say to yourself, I'm full of worth and value.
I am full of worth and value.
The second one is, I am willing to be at peace with myself and others.
I am willing to be at peace with myself and others.
I allow myself to give and receive love.
I am willing to give and receive love.
I give myself permission to heal.
I give myself permission to heal.
And lastly, which can sometimes be very hard, is I am exactly where I need to be.
I'm exactly where I need to be.
Breathe in again. And out. I want you to know that you deserve to be in this room. You are exactly where you need to be, despite everything else happening in your life. You are exactly where you need to be. And when you embrace this moment in your life, you will fall so beautifully into the next. Breathe in once more. And out. Thank you so much for joining me. How do you guys feel?
Good.
That was good, eh?
Yes.
Great. Sipokazi and Ntati, how are you guys doing? How are you really doing?
Right.
Yeah.
I'm good. I'm good, thank you. Actually, I am good. And I say that like coming out of a very tough space, being very mindful of that space, and I think being mindful and being present truly, truly helps. But I think coming during that space and moving out of that space, I've really centered ease, being easeful with myself, being easeful with everything that does come. And yeah, it's gotten me into a very good space.
That's good. That's really good. And you, Ntati, how are you?
I'm good. I am celebrating 1 year. I took a year off. I know Sinovia was speaking about taking some time off and how challenging it is. I took a year off being a boss babe and just lived my life much slower. And so I went on a trip recently and I'm back and excited to have rested. Yeah.
You know, Sipokazi, you are a wellness and personal and mindfulness coach. Do you want to maybe explain to us in the room what that is and what it looks like for you to be a coach, like in that department?
Yeah, so I think most people feel like getting a coach is almost seeking help from a therapist, which is really not the same. Coaches don't work with the idea of diagnosing you. We are literally seeking to hold space for you, to find ease and more sensible ways of journeying each and every day. You touched on the fact that we are on a journey, and the thing is that on this journey, on this life period that we are on, however long it is, the day-to-day is so important. In fact, the moment to moment, because there's so much that we experience moment to moment, things that we end up forgetting or missing. So yes, we are, as coaches, there to really help you to sit down and reflect back, so that you are better prepared, or even encouraging yourself and confident about who you truly want to become. So yes, it's holding space to become your fullest self and your most confident self, which I think is so helpful and something we all need alongside therapy. Don't get me wrong, therapy is so important. But yes, in my sessions, I am so intentional about the space that I hold for the women that I do coach. I want you to feel held and seen and heard.
Sure. Yeah. Sure.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Ntati, look, wellness has a lot to do with intention, something that I've learned. It has a lot to do with setting an intention. And I've seen how you have created and curated such a beautiful planner. And I just told myself there is no way that Ntati is not an intentional woman. There's no way that you are not passionate about women and helping them build their careers and helping them plan and being intentional as well about their wellness. What does wellness mean for you, and what does it look like?
So thank you so much for that comment. And I think that's where, we started with Boss Plus One, was just about helping people understand that the life that you're living you can create it, and providing tools for women to understand that. And so what wellness looks like for me is staying true to myself, so listening to myself, listening to my gut. And a lot of people don't take the time to sit and listen to yourself. How do I feel, about people, decisions, business, money, relationships, everything. How do I really feel about this? And you kind of have to work to get to a place where you trust yourself that fully. So wellness for me is, do I trust myself, okay? To do what I say I'm going to do and get it done, okay? That's important. Sure. Whether it's even rest is like, this is time for me to rest. I'm listening to my body. This is what it needs. And honoring all those needs. So that is what wellness looks like, is I trust myself. And because I trust myself, that is a guiding element for every part of my life.
Trusting self.
Trusting myself, yeah.
I think I have a very, that relationship with self when it comes to trusting myself is quite on the tense side. So I love that you have mentioned that as part of your wellness journey, that it's important for us to trust ourselves, right? I want to further ask on that. What skill or what habits have you built in learning to trust yourself? It's not easy.
Yeah.
It's really not easy, especially if you feel that there's a lot you have done and you haven't really done it well. When, let's say, I'm a last born, guys, ne? Last born, I've got 2 older sisters, and so I've been used to, I'm used to my sisters making decisions for me, right? Or helping me, rather, in some of the decisions that I've had to make. And so now being older, being married, having a child, that is mine. I found that I have to learn. Yeah, I'm not taking my child back, right? And so I've had to learn that important thing that you've mentioned, trusting self, being okay with listening to that voice within when it comes to some of the decisions that I have to make. So how have you built trust?
Yeah, so that's a hectic question. But how I've built trust is, firstly, you start with the small commitments to yourself, okay? And I think that it could be something as saying you are going to finish a book. Good example, you're going to finish a book. You have to commit to finishing that book because it sends signals to your brain that you've accomplished. And because you've accomplished, it's claps, right? So my thing is, every time when I'm feeling a little low, I say, what can I do to teach my brain to clap? Sure. And so if I do the exercises and I don't jog, I don't hike, I walk. That's about it. And I commit to walking, I'm teaching my brain that tick, clap, right? If I finish a task or finish a project on time, it's beautiful, it's the way I envision it, clap. So whenever I feel like my gut is not right, I'm not trusting myself, I go back to things that I know that are going to clap my brain. And so that's one. Number 2 is I developed a toolbox, and I speak about this all the time, even in Boss Plus One. You have a toolbox, I have a toolbox. One, it lies in memory, right? So remember the time you felt the best about yourself? What were you doing during that time? Bring back those things. So whether I was at my best, I was listening to this podcast. At my best, I was dressing like this. At my best, that is my get it together toolbox, So how I feel the most confident, you have a toolbox. It's in your memory. It's ingrained in your memory. And so that's why when, music lies in memory, right? When you hear a song, you're like, yeah. So that's the same principle with building your inner system or guiding system to be like, when I felt the most productive, this is what I did to get there. And you trace back your steps. A lot of us don't record our steps. We don't record what we do. And I deal with productivity a lot and what it looks like for each individual, but we don't record our steps. So when I look back, I have a master's degree. What did I do to get there? Outside of the studying and the working, and what did I do on a day-to-day? What were my habits to get to that goal? I use the same principles in my next goal, in my next goal, in my next goal. So if we can understand the brain and how we think, memory, repetition, we can build trust within our guts.
Ladies, she said she didn't know what she was going to say when she got here. Like, so good. One of the things in my wellness journey that I've realized is that we don't have a lot of representation as Black women in the wellness space. And I think, yes, we're getting better. We are. I think that's why, as Black women, we've struggled when it comes to prioritizing our wellness or our well-being. Can you talk, Sipokazi, about how we can redefine wellness for ourselves as Black women?
Yes, I honestly love what Ntati just said about remembering. And I love to journal with my clients. First off, I love journaling by myself, but I love journaling with my clients. And I say that because when we are able to take time to reflect, you are triggering your memory, things that you forgot in the past. Ntati touches on tools that you need. I call them non-negotiables for my season. The season that you are in right now, what are the tools and the habits that you need for you to get back into a place where you are at ease and you're at peace and you're trusting yourself? And it's literally remembering, okay, I feel better when I'm going on hot girl walks or going to the gym. I feel better when I'm listening to this in this podcast. You remember those things. You remember, oh, umama used to take baths. Let me do that. You remember what your grandmother did. I always say we don't have the representation that we need, but we grew up with these Black women in our homes. Think about what they did. Ukuthandaza ukuguqa ngamadolo. Do you know what I'm saying? To go back into a meditative space. You know what I'm saying? To remember, we need to retrace our steps and reflect back to who are the women that raised us and who we are trying to be then, and what the women then and the sons and the daughters that we are trying to raise, and what you want them to, how you want them to live day to day. So yes, it is a very important thing to reflect back, because I think in trusting yourself and in listening to your intuition literally guides us back to who we truly are. And I think we miss this idea of that what you need, you already have, right? What you need, you already have. And it's going to be individual, because we're not all the same. We're not all the same, and not everything is going to work for us. Not waking up to the gym at 5 a.m. is not going to work for all of us. Praying is not going to work for all of us. But there are certain things, certain tools, and certain habits that we can really bring into our days and bring into the moments where we feel overwhelmed that can truly help us. And the only person that will truly know what that is you. So you have to listen to that gut instinct, and you have to forgive yourself for the times you did not remember what to do in those moments. You need to give yourself grace in remembering who you are and getting clear on what you need.
Sure. You spoke about intuition. My faith has made me well. I believe that, in fact, my faith has been a grounding for my conviction when it comes to wellness. It's so beautiful to see how the God that I believe in wants me well and wants every area of my life well. I think that gives me permission to pursue wellness for myself with so much determination, knowing that the God that I believe in wants me well, right? How important, or rather, can you maybe talk about the beautiful marriage between wellness and spirituality, or wellness and faith for you?
Listen, you've touched on, I've got goosebumps, literally. Everything we are comes from this light of faith. Whatever faith it is you have, faith in God, faith in the universe, faith in yourself, faith in your ancestors, faith in the generation that you are creating, it all comes from faith. Do you know what I mean? You have to believe in something. And most of the time, it doesn't even need to be, yes, I am Christian, and I love being Christian. And sometimes I think that we get so overwhelmed, like trying to be this perfect person and this perfect Christian and this spiritual person. Have faith in this person, because that's what it is. You are God. He made you in his image. So when you look at yourself in the mirror, have faith in that person. Like sisterhood for me is like insane. I look at my mother, I look at my sisters, my aunts, and I'm like, what? I'm looking at the woman in here, the woman on stage, and I'm like, what? I have faith in those women. If there's a woman who I see and I'm like, oh my gosh, like how did she get to the position she is at? I'm like, it makes you excited inside. You are looking at yourself. You are looking at yourself. What you see in somebody else is a reflection of who you are inside. So when you say somebody is beautiful, you better know you're saying it to yourself too. You're saying it to yourself too. The reason that wellness and spirituality, for me, just sort of literally just melts into each other so beautifully, is understanding that everything that we create is mind-blowingly out of our hands, literally. Who we are, the faith that we have in ourselves, and what we want to create is unimaginable. The woman here, I'm sure all of you are here because you are driven. Where does that drive come from? You are wanting to create something that you haven't seen. Where does that come from? From your faith. From your faith. It may not be a faith in universe. It may not be faith in your spiritual practice. It may not be faith in your God. But it is faith in you because you know you can do it. So you move in a way where you are absolutely positively in love with creating what you do. I always say simplify it to its core. What you are doing, simplify it to its core. As a believer, there is this notion where we say, when God wants you to do something, if he says to you, you're not going to be a millionaire, are you still going to do the thing? You have to. He's called you to do it. You have to do it. If there is only one heart that you touch, you've done your job. You've done it. And I think it's so great for us to really be able to sit in that, to be present in that, simplifying our intentions. We touched on what our intentions are. When we have these goals and these desires, but simplify them right to the core. That even if I do not make that R1,000,000 even if my brand doesn't make it, do I still love what I do and would I still do it anyway? Yes.
Sure.
Yes. If you are doing Sino was sitting right here, passion about women's hair. I'm pretty sure if she only was to do her mother's hair or her sister's hair, she would be content. Because she still gets to do what she loves at her core. And what is that? It's faith in that I can do this. I can work with my hands. I can speak with my mouth. I can speak from my heart. My mind is full. And Yes, it's really believing in that. It's your driving force. Your faith in yourself, it really pushes you to be well. It pushes you to be well from a space of love. Right? All these things, God, the universe, us, ourselves, it all comes down to love. Love for that thing. It all comes down to that. And so when we think about our desires and where we want to be, we need to simplify it to the most simple thing in the earth. And it is love. It's love for community.
From everything you've said, the words that come to mind and come to heart is the essence of who we are. We are enough. And what we have to offer right now, yes, there's space for growth, but what we have to offer right now, it's important for us to affirm that it is enough, right? Ntati, I watched such a beautiful video on your Instagram last night, and some of the words that you gave us a quote, and I want to read it. You said, all you can do is all you can do, and all you can do is enough. When it comes to, I'll say that again. All you can do is all you can do, and all you can do is enough. When it comes to vocation and mental wellness, how important is it for women to rethink productivity?
Oh, love it. So that's one of my favorite quotes. A mentor of mine told me that, like, I was running for a goal, and I didn't hit the goal, but it was like up in the clouds. It was like up in the sky, and I landed like somewhere in the clouds. And I was so disappointed in not getting to, all the way. And she literally just called me, and she's like, all you can do is all you can do, and all you can do is enough, And that has stuck with me. Like, every day when I feel like I haven't reached my goal, I haven't done this, all you can do is all you can do, and all you can do is enough. So what we do at Boss Plus One is I always encourage people to reframe productivity and also understand what it means for you. So what does productivity look like for you will not be what it looks like for the next person. And that's why we create tools so that you can customize and edit your life according to what you need. So when I started Boss Plus One, I was so frustrated because I had this big business, and then I had a baby, and I didn't prepare for postpartum depression. Well, I don't think anyone does. I didn't prepare for it, and my business crashed. You go from making multiple six figures a month to zero. And I was losing my mind because I felt like, oh my God, it must be my stationery, it must be this, it must be that. I was going into stationery shops and buying like 6 planners, just trying to bring it together. Back of my mind, people are saying, you're raising a human. It's like the biggest job ever, like you're raising a human. But for me, it's like, that's not as important as this business coming back up and all of that, So that is important to reframe. So whenever I'm having a bad day or I don't feel like I met my work goals, but I spend more time with my daughter, that's a tick. I sat on a 1-hour FaceTime with my dad, like yabbing, right? Like just talking and talking and talking. That is productive for me. And so it might not look like productivity. We really have to break down what all these, productivity looks like, because to us it's just about work. And the older I've gotten, the more I've realized that I want to grow my family. Like, that's my goal right now, is I want more children, I want to get married. That is productive. It's as productive as manager, director, associate, Like, building a beautiful family is productive. Sitting and sleeping 5 days straight to treat my mental health because I'm not feeling good is productive. And so we really have to stop the tick box of water, right? Which is cute. I mean, my planner has that. Like, it's cute, like tick-offs, but it's not productive, And it goes back to your day-to-day, the way we live and all of that. I'll make an example. I won't say any names, right? But we have, I have friends who are diehard 5 a.m. clubs, right? Diehard, right? So they go and it's their thing, and I love watching them. I would crumble, right? I would crumble. But for a long time, I beat myself up for that. My productivity is 6 o'clock to 12 o'clock midday. From 12 to 4, I'm a potato. From 5 to 10, I'm Beyonce. And so I structure my day according to that. And I stopped beating myself up for not waking up at 5. And because I remember one friend of mine is like, no, we need to get up. It's 5 o'clock. Live for prayer. I won't. Like don't live for the tapelo. I can't. Like Jesus knows I'll wake up at 6, right?
Thanks for being honest.
Like he created this. So it's just you just need to know what your times are. Like even in corporate, you're not productive 8 to 5, right? So what do you do in your downtime? So it's just about knowing yourself and being like, this is who I am, and I am going to be productive like this during this time, and I'm not going to beat myself up for it. And at the end of the day, if I look at my goals and I'm like, tick, 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 and I've only got 6 things done out of 12, which never happens, by the way, you'll only get 3 things done. Out of 12, I say I can do all that I can do, and all I can do is enough with a glass of wine. So, so done.
As you're speaking right now, I'm thinking about how there's such a beautiful relationship between healing and growth.
Yeah.
I've found that in my journey of growth, I've had to forgive, release myself, and allow myself to heal. I think it's part of the healing journey, or the growth journey, rather. And so I want to ask you, Sipokazi, when it comes to forgiveness, I think it plays such a crucial role when it comes to our well-being. Being able to forgive ourselves and being able to release those who have hurt us. Right? I've heard so many people say forgiveness is for you.
Yes.
A lot of the time it's for you. And there's a scripture that I really love that speaks about letting go of these wounds that weigh so heavy on us and just fixing our eyes towards the mark, right? Letting go of these wounds so that we can propel forward. And so I want you to just talk about the importance of just healing, forgiveness, forgiving ourselves, because I think it's sometimes, which is easier actually, forgiving someone else or forgiving yourself?
Forgiving yourself. Forgiving yourself
Yeah.
is
So talk on
the
that.
hardest thing. The hardest thing. The hardest thing. It's not impossible though. It's not impossible. You can absolutely do it. But the most important thing there is to give yourself grace.
Yeah.
It's to give yourself grace because it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy, and it's going to take time. It's going to take time for you to really move out of... I really do think it's like this imposter syndrome that we have, like thinking that you aren't good enough, and so having something good or having a life that is good, I don't deserve it.
Sure.
That's a lie. You are enough. You are worthy. And you are worthy of your forgiveness, right? I have a practice, right? So journaling, and I'm sure Ntati will agree with me, there are different ways to journal, right? You can have a gratitude journal, you could have your daily planner, you can have a reflections journal, and you can, I call it a letting go journal. A practice where you practice letting go. I am a Christian, but I also practice spirituality. So I do like writing down. Ever so often, maybe on a full moon, I will write down things I'm trying to let go of. Everything I'm trying to let go of. And I will sometimes write it even more than once, because a lot of the time, you can't write something once and expect it to vanish. It's not going to happen like that, especially because we do... walk in life with all these habits, right? These habits that we're trying to let go of, You've already spent 5 years of your life, going with this thing, going, and not letting go. And now you can't sit at a place where you're like, okay, now I'm going to let it go. I'm going to write it down once. I'm letting it go. Wake up next morning and it's gone. No ways. No ways. As much, and hear me here, gratitude and letting go of something, hand in hand. You need to be grateful of everything all the time, every day. You need to let go of things all the time, every day. And it is a situation where you sit. If something, and I love to use letting go a lot of the time at the end of my day. So I will sit and I'll think about what my day, and honestly what I do is that hour, maybe 2 hours before you go to sleep, so important, get off your phone, switch off the TV, really get into the space of, I'm going to go to sleep now. Because I'll tell you something, when you wake up the next morning, please believe it's a new morning, it's a new day, yesterday didn't happen, I'm a new person, everything is gone. So yes, at the end of your evening, write down, reflect, what happened today that didn't sit well with me? What are you willing to let go of today? I'm willing to let go of the fact that what we heard today, I'm willing to let go of the fact that I get defensive sometimes. I'm thinking about what Sino said. I'm willing to let go of being defensive. And you sit with that. You sit with the feelings of that. What is coming up? Why do I get defensive? And you don't even need to go into detail like I do sometimes on a journal. But the fact that you have set that intention, and the fact that you have sat with that intention for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and then you let it go. You let it go. You let it go because you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. You might fall back into that same routine of being defensive. But you need to come back, you need to realize it, and you need to be like, you did it again, I forgive you. I forgive you, but we're going to try again. So you write it again. I'm letting go of being defensive. Until that thing feels easy, you are going to see. It will start leaving you. It will even, I love journaling because you get clear about what it is you are letting go at a lot of the time. A lot of the time I will go on, I call them mind dumps of just going, writing, just letting it go. There are times where I will rip that page up and I will burn it. I don't care how many times I do it. It's a ritual. Ritualize the new habits you are trying to build. Yeah. Because, what is it? Is it 21 days or 22 days of like trying to create 21 days trying to to make another habit, right? To do another habit. Sometimes that 21 days isn't enough for me. Like, it's not enough. Yeah. You need to continue to do it until it feels easier for you, until you feel like you don't actually need to even write it down anymore. You are sitting in your car on some, okay, girl, that wasn't it. We're letting it go, and it's okay. I can forgive myself for doing that. And now we're going to do something different. It really is giving yourself grace. Give yourself grace to make the mistake. Give yourself grace, though, to also get back. I think a lot of the time we think of healing as this hard thing. And it is. It totally is. Healing is also joy. You heal in joy. Mtati speaks about how she will clap for herself. If there's a moment you realize that, I stood up for myself, I set a boundary, give yourself a pat on the back. You've done it. Yes, maybe 2 weeks you can fall back a bit. You give yourself grace. And that's why it's so important to be in the moment of these things, to reflect back at these things, because that's another danger that we can do to ourselves, is that when we do fall back into these habits, it's kind of hard sometimes to kind of get back on track. And, you need to leave space for that also. We are only human. True. We're only human, and we really are healing generations. We really are healing generations. And you need to be so proud of yourselves for even thinking of that. I always say, like, the woman sitting in this room, we don't have, like, this, I want the right word to say this, we don't have the time anymore to simply go on about how life goes on.
Yeah.
We can't just go on.
Yeah.
It's not sustainable.
Yeah.
It's not sustainable. Mentally, in here, in our gut, in our hips, it is not sustainable.
Sure.
Because why? It hits your physical.
It does.
Healing is so important, because when you don't heal your mind, if you don't heal your heart, it starts to manifest physically. And there are far too many black women dying daily
Yeah.
for that to be the case. We don't have the time to do that. You need to make yourself a priority. You need to prioritize yourself. You need to prioritize your healing. For your businesses to grow, you need to heal yourself.
To be well.
To be well.
Yeah. And speaking of boundaries, I've discovered that you can't guard something you do not treasure. You cannot guard your heart if you don't. And it's taken me literally only this year. I'm 30, and I'm only realizing it now, that I cannot guard or protect something I do not treasure. And so I'm learning to prioritize. I have not always done it well. I've beaten myself up about it. And it's affected many areas. I love that my husband's here, and he can also share on how much my lack of prioritizing has affected even him. And I am not only having to go through a journey of forgiving myself, but learning once again to treasure certain things in my life because they're worth treasuring. And when I understand that they're worth treasuring and protecting, I can guard them more, right? Yeah. And so you touched on boundaries, and I think this is a question I'd like both of you to answer before we maybe open the floor to questions. Why should we set boundaries?
I'm going to speak about the prioritization, because I think that's important to setting boundaries. Nothing matters when everything matters. So, yeah.
Say that again.
Nothing matters if everything matters. And so I think we all need like 6, right, principles that guide our lives. So I have 6 values or 6 ideas of these are my values, and these things don't move away. I'll make one which is very fickle. It's beauty, right? I love beautiful things. And that's a value in my life, right? That's a value in my life, and it goes to the stationery. I can't have ugly stationery, right? I was like, no. So everything has to be beautiful. Beauty is it's how I respond to situations. And the boundaries I set around that, it might seem simple, and I really wanted to speak about beauty just to show you that sometimes it's really not that deep. Like, it's really just about, let's take beauty as a value of mine. But because of that, my work ethic rises up, because I want everything I do to look beautiful. Because of that, I attract certain customers or clients who understand that they coming here, the price is high because the work is beautiful. So that's how I set boundaries, is making sure that everything I do is so beautiful that I want to see 50 rand, right? Like, you can see that's the boundary. So when we open the conversation, I don't have to worry about someone saying it's too expensive, because beauty is the value. It looks expensive, so the boundary has been set by never going from my value. Okay, so that is important for me to be like, I have core values and these are my priorities and I don't move away from those core values.
And you?
Sure. So true, first and foremost. But yes, I think for me, personally, I think it's so important to move away from this idea of, like, you're not the priority. How, and the saying is when you pour into yourself, right, your cup overflows and it pours into those around you. And that is so true. How we hold ourselves and how we show up for ourselves is so true in the fact that you are able then to show up for those around you, and then also for them to reflect back to you how you love yourself, because I think then people are able to show up for you because you have been able to show, right, how it is that I want this to be. Setting boundaries for me is so important. And it's not easy to set boundaries. I mean, when we think about Black families, what is a boundary, right? Like, a boundary? What are you talking about? Like, and it's so hard, like, to explain those things. But it is so important, and it is so important to communicate what your boundaries are. And it's simple things like, okay, cool, I'm not taking your calls during this hour and this hour. My dad and I had like a little back and forth the other day. I work with my dad, and I was like, look, I cannot, like, you're texting me at 9 o'clock. I'm done. Like, why are we still talking at 9? Next morning, please, But I explained to him why it's so important. Or rather, yes, you can send me that message. I'll probably not open that WhatsApp. But why it is so important. That's my time. That's my time. That's my time to disconnect from the world and to pay attention to what's happening to me so I can show up for you the next morning. If I don't take the time, I'm waking up grumpy. I don't want to work. I don't like, do you know what I mean? You need to set those boundaries. And I know it's also hard, not only Black families, or families in general, it's also hard to set boundaries at work. But it's so important to be able to, and I love to work with companies and being able to facilitate how we should be better able to or be with our associates, because I think it's so important to respect the next person. And to respect the next person is to respect their boundary. If I'm not available to you, take that in, and I'm going to explain to you why I can't be available to you. I'm not shutting you out. And I think that's the problem sometimes, is that when we set a boundary, it feels offensive. It's not offensive. It's not about you.
She's so passionate. She's so touched.
Right? It's not about the next person. It's not about the next person. It's about me. Yeah. Stop making it about you. It's about me. But there's a way for us to kind of like, and letting go sometimes becomes very important here in setting boundaries. It's because you need to it's not about you, let go of it. It's not about you, it's about me. Yeah. And so when I communicate with you about this, about setting this boundary, I'm saying this so that we can be able to work around it. Yeah. Let's figure out how we can work together. I've set this boundary now, but let's be able to work around it so that we can move on with our lives in a way that is conducive to all of us. Yeah. You know what I mean? If working in community, with our partners and our families, mothers, all of these things, setting boundaries is important. Yeah. And being stay true to your boundaries. And the last point I'm going to make here is respect your own boundaries. When you set that boundary, do not go back on it.
Honor it, yeah.
You can change it, you can shift it. And some boundaries are going to shift in some seasons in your life. Some you're going to go back to, and some you're going to let go of. But don't go back on your own boundaries. Respect your own boundaries so other people can respect your boundaries too.
Sure, that's good. I thought we would have had questions, but I've been told to wrap it up. And we're going to do that. Ladies, if I can exhort you to invest in your healing, please do so. I say that because I was getting emotional, so I had to drink water. And I was like, I just affirmed my inner child right now. Standing here and allowing myself to face a fear,
Yes.
just affirmed my inner child. And I think it plays such a beautiful role in my wellness journey. So if you have to face fears, and you're here. If you have to face certain fears, please do so. And allow the process and the journey for healing. You're going to need it for where I believe you're headed to as great women in this room. You're going to need to heal. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, ladies.